Hey guys, this is Ronnie Smith. I'm the CEO of Next Level Solutions, and welcome to Next Level Solutions 101. This week I'm in Memphis, Tennessee, and I'm working with Proximity Development Co. And it has been an extreme honor to actually be here in my hometown. I typically fly all over the country, all over the places, working with different type size of companies, $100 million companies to small companies. But this one here is a great opportunity, and I would love to introduce you to Brandon Porter II. And one of the things that has been extremely important is that I love the fact that the younger generation is coming in and taking ownership and entrepreneurship and working inside of the type of stuff. It's been my experience that sometimes the younger generation has been more lacking in the skill sets. And one thing, Brandon, I'd love to just talk about is how did you get started and being as young as you are and having the mindset of, hey, this is what I'm going to do. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Absolutely, man. So, it would do a disservice and a dishonor for me not to thank, God, number one, for putting me in a position to be able to do these things. And after that, my family, my mother and father just instilling those principles and characteristics into me. But after they instilled it, I have to make sure I executed those like you talk about. So I thank them for doing that and setting a foundation for me. But moving forward, my father always said a quote, Ronnie, and it was so important to me because none of this that we do is about us. You don't do business for yourself. Right. It's always for somebody else. And that is, I've never seen a tree eat its own fruit. Everything that we do is for somebody else. So in business, it's like, for me, I want to start doing stuff early now. At 27 years old, that way down the line, I can say, hey, we impacted somebody else to start doing something at 25, maybe at 23, at 21, like you see, and to just pay it forward, man. So that's really a treasure in my heart, the motivation to push others to live beyond potential, and to pay it forward, to do it at a time that they can start succeeding whenever they want, not at a predicted timeline.
One of the things is that, so just for the audience, one of the things that I do is I do assessments. I do a culture index on everybody that I work with. And Brandon's culture index on his scores were extremely high. And it's very rare that a lot of times in this industry, or even just in general, people that are in this age group, they don't even have a direction. And one of the things that your culture index did was it showed that you were very innovative, you were very creative, and one of the things I think that is extremely important is self-awareness.
Yes.
And I felt like that you were really self-aware of your strengths, your weaknesses. Guys, if you're having problems in your business and you're needing help, one of the biggest things that I might take away from this is even myself, being an entrepreneur, owning several businesses, you always need some kind of a mentor.
Absolutely.
And one of the things I asked you I asked you about yesterday about your relationship with your dad.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was important behind that is because inside of this culture index, it shows your development from the time that you were 8 to 12 years old.
Yeah.
And so what has that meant to you that has drove you to get to this point to be an entrepreneur?
It's been a tremendous deal, and number one, you acknowledging that and bringing it back to my remember saying, hey, Brandon, let's look at that time frame, right? We're 20 years plus removed from that, being 8 years old, but those foundational principles are so important. And it goes back to something else you spoke about, the mental health of being able to reflect on those times, to build off of it. So once we built those culture indexes, Ronnie, I got to go back and evaluate and then become thankful for, hey, wow, my years from 8 to 12 were decent compared to, some people that are out in this world that have gone through, plenty of horrible things. But even for those type of people, that have gone through some horrible things during those years, this is a process that they will be able to take in and still win from that process. Mm-hmm. And you put that into perspective, right? Taking it back from something before you can start a business to saying, hey, let's look and reflect. Let's take a step back and see, why you're nervous during this moment, or why you're anxious during this moment, or what gives you anxiety as an adult, in business, in fellowship, whatever it may be, and see how you can utilize that. But I think by reflecting on those principles from that age, Ronnie, it really gave me answers to why I respond to things now. If I'm responding to it, if I'm being productive, is it distracting me? And it helps to bring a solution to the problem. It helps to find the next solution to solve that, man. So thank you for that.
That's awesome. And one of the things, guys, I want to talk to the audience for a second. Guys, if you're a business owner, you got to have a bigger why than money. And one of the things, Brandon, that the very first thing that we did is, so if you're an owner and you're trying to grow your business, growing the business is the easy part. Growing culture and growing people is the hard part. And one of the things that we spent time with, and actually it kind of stumped you there for a little bit.
It did. It's been like 2 days.
Yeah, 2 days on the why, but I didn't rush that because I felt like it was so important to know, well, why do I get up every day?
Yeah.
What is my purpose? Why am I doing this? And it took you a minute to really to break that down. Can you just maybe tell the audience to what that felt like to you? Because one word, it was 3 letters.
Yeah.
It was why. Something that is so simple as a 3-letter word that turned out to be that really, it seemed to be a little bit hard for you.
Yeah.
What was that?
Because for me, I kind of, put it into perspective, Ronnie, because I look towards the end. Not to sound dark or anything like that, but I looked at what that meant when I'm gone, right? Even at 27 years old, what was the legacy that was left? Who do you do these things for? What type of generations do you want to see to come behind you, right? Because I start thinking also of this, like if we don't study history, we're condemned to repeat it. So it's like, how do I look at, things that have been in the past to bring forth a better generation? And that stumped me, man, because why do I get up every morning? Why do I work, as an entrepreneur? Why do I want to help people get to the next level in their lives, to take ownership of their lives? And I started to examine why you were doing it, and by you living in your purpose, man, and seeing you do and be showing me your statement, right?
Yeah.
Seeing what type of, aspect that you came from on it, man, and I was stumped, but then I got encouraged once I found it. And you were telling me something that was very important. You said, hey, let's come back to it. That's very important. We have to have it before we really move forward, but don't rush it, because this is something that is going to follow you for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does. And so if you have other people that are watching this, because let me tell you something.
Yeah.
People that start businesses, there are some people that have been in business for 10 to 15 years, and they haven't even got close to either $1 million, or they, and being where you are today. What motivated you to even get into the real estate? I mean, you could have done anything. You look like you're very athletic, so you look like you could have been a football player, a baseball player. But what drove you to do real estate?
For me, it was just figuring out what could pour into other ventures that I would want to do. What is the most suitable lane for me to get into that wouldn't take 50 years, that wouldn't take 20 years, that wouldn't take 10 years for me to do now, that can establish a foundation of wealth that is infinite. Real estate is infinite. People are always going to need a place to stay. People are always going to need a place to rent out for their businesses. People are always going to need places to, fellowship and commune. So for me, real estate was the thing that made sense. But I had the mindset to go get it and figure it out. But real estate for me not only is this business itself, but it pours into all of my other entities. And it pours into, one of the biggest things that I want to do is do philanthropy on another level. And
that's awesome.
To get to that point, God just spoke to me. He said, real estate, I'm not making any more of this stuff. I'm not making any more land. Right. Go get it and figure it out.
And that's powerful. And one of the things that you said, because I asked you, well, why did you call your company Proximity?
Yeah.
Share with the audience a little bit why you named it Proximity.
Yeah, because I believe that you should be surrounded by the things that you want to be in life, that you want to achieve in life, the dreams that you would like to be close to, even the people or the person that you would want to become. Start surrounding yourself with those things. And for me, Proximity Development stated that, even in our communities now, we have to build such a social-driven society to the point where we are hanging it and surrounding ourselves with the people that we want to become. and even people that, maybe, stranded off by the wayside or getting a little off track, keeping them in proximity to somebody that is on the straight and narrow, so that the community continues to build itself, and that it becomes also infinite, man. So proximity development just states that, you should be around people that want to live beyond their potential, and you should be around your dreams because you deserve it.
And that is so true. And I'll tell you something else that, guys, here's something that I found to be very exciting when I met Brandon, is that being in real estate, he's taken something that's broken.
Yeah.
He's taken something that has been weathered. He's taken stuff that on the outside, it is not pretty at all. Windows are broken. Sheetrock is damaged. Roofs could be falling in. He's taken parts of Memphis, and I want to talk about this because I live here. This is my hometown as well. And guys, in this area, one of the biggest things is just that we come together in Memphis. We really do. And you are making Memphis better just by buying properties that are undesirable. And a lot of times that's how people feel, man. People feel broken. They feel abandoned. They feel like they don't have a purpose.
Right.
But yet you're being able to go into some of the areas in Memphis that need some love, and be able to buy those properties and go in there and renovate them and make them new, to make those new again. That has to make you feel good.
It makes me feel great, man, but it you're still humbled by it, right? Even with my first property, last year I thought about it. I'm like, wow, somebody here is dependent upon me, little old me, to have a good, stable life, somewhere to raise their family, somewhere that they're keeping their, their investment, their children in, and banking on me to make sure they live in a stable condition. And once I had that take place, Ronnie, I thought about really why I'm doing this, and what really made me want to get into this. If you look at my last name is Porter. Porters originate from opening doors. That's what we did back in the day. If you know a porter, porters open the door. Porters open the door to the hotel. They open the door to, facilities, wherever it is. That's what porters did. They opened doors. And I wanted to embody that. I wanted to figure out what that meant, because it's so much in the name. And I know that I have a responsibility and an obligation in this city, outside of the city and in the world, to open doors. And I'm going to make sure that takes place. Whatever the sacrifice is, I need to make sure that gets done to fulfill my purpose.
And this is kind of like the last thing. This is actually more of a statement than anything. I've always told my daughter, find what you're passionate about and then do that for the rest of your life, because you'll never work a day in your life. Because when you do what you love, when you do what you're passionate about, and you're making a difference in business. And a lot of times people, when they open businesses, they're doing it because of monetarily, they're doing it for freedom. And to me, all that's a byproduct. And one of the things that I've learned over the years is that when you love people, you take care of people, and you honor people, then all the other stuff just lines up in business, right?
Absolutely.
And so, well, listen, guys. Hey, I want to just say thank you so much for watching this little short section of this Next Level 101. And just thank you for tuning in to us. Hey, do me a favor. Go subscribe to the Next Level Solutions on my YouTube channel. Hit the button below, click it, hit the notification button, come follow me, because one of the things that I feel like that is important with Next Level, there are 3 different types that I'm really focusing on inside of Next Level. Number one, you have the companies like Brandon that is looking to just grow their business. They're newly opened within the last couple of years. But then there's a second business where a lot of people fall trapped to. It's a business that actually took off, Brandon, and to where they didn't have all of their systems in place. They didn't have all their operations. They didn't have this stuff dialed in, but they knew how to sell. And so what happens is they get to this point to where they're growing, but they're failing.
Wow.
And so sometimes you have to be able to pull back on that.
Right.
And so you're kind of scaling back
Yeah.
until we fix the problem so you can scale forward. And then there's a third type of business. You got companies that's been in business for 25 years.
Yeah.
It's been broken,
Right.
but they made it work. But they want to get better in organization, better efficiencies, and be able to scale on. And I have actually seen to where when they fix that,
Yeah.
they organically grew
Wow.
from that. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned. I will be in Aberville, Alabama next week. So stay tuned. I'll see you in Alabama.